Hi all, my name is Anup and I'm here with you today to give you a few tips on effective articulation. Now, how will you define articulation? It is communicating the message or the thought that you have to your intended audience in as clear or concise a manner as possible. Now, there are a few tips that are very important that you remember when you do so. Now, one of the most difficult scenarios that people usually face when articulating is handling difficult communication. When I say difficult communication, I mean communication which deals with giving feedback or probably logging a complaint or handling scenarios which are emotionally charged. Now, for these kind of scenarios, we always suggest that you apply a technique called the BFIR. It's an acronym where the B stands for describing behavior, the F stands for describing feelings, the I stands for describing the impact, and the R is where you request for a change. Now let's try this with an example. Now let's say you handled a project with another colleague of yours and you executed the project successfully. Both of you have worked very hard on it. Now your manager calls you to present the project at the end of the project term, and he gives you a 30-minute slot to make the presentation. Now, during the entire presentation, by chance, your colleague spoke for more than 20 minutes and you did not get a chance to express what you did in the project. I'm sure you would not be happy about this. So what would you do? If you were to go back to your colleague and say, look, I felt that you were very dominating, I'm sure your colleague would not be happy to receive this kind of a feedback from you. Now, in this scenario, applying the BFIR becomes very important. Now, how do we do it? First, speak about the behavior of your colleague. You could start by saying, well, the other day when we had the project presentation, you spoke for more than 20 minutes in the 30-minute slot given to us. Then speak about the feeling that you actually went through. Well, I felt that you showed that you probably played a more important role in the project compared to me, and the impact of it was that the manager felt that I did not do a lot of good work on the project. So I request that the next time we actually do this, we plan beforehand, we come up with a plan in terms of how much time you will take and how much time I will take, and then go ahead with the discussion. Now, this is where you made a request for a change in behavior. Now, what is the advantage of following this? Probably the next time something like this happens, you both now know what is the expectation from each other. You definitely would prevent from name calling or pointing fingers at your colleague. And you also ensure that the relationship between you and your colleague is not disturbed as a result of this scenario. A few other things to remember when you get into a discussion with anybody: always remember to suspend your judgment, which means do not have a preconceived notion, do not make assumptions, and do not start framing a response as the person is speaking. Let the person finish. Think about what was said and then make your response, which will always ensure that your responses are accurate and clear. It is also a very good habit to paraphrase when you have a doubt or a question in mind, rather than assuming that you've understood correct. So, for example, if you have a doubt when somebody tells you something, a very simple habit is to just tell the person that, look, this is what I understood from the message you just communicated. Is my understanding correct? If the person says, yes, it is correct, then you can proceed. Or if the person says, no, it is not, then ask him to clarify or rectify. Now, in the end, what did we discuss just now? We looked at applying the BFIR technique. We also looked at the importance of suspending judgment and paraphrasing. What I essentially did now was to summarize everything that we discussed, which is also a very, very important behavior to have when you speak about a lot of things to people. In the end, ensuring that you follow these simple tips will always ensure that you are an excellent articulator. This is Anup speaking to you on Tip King, and stay tuned for more tips on various aspects of communication. Thank you.